Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Opus 12 Fire Set review. I'm Emo Tempest, and man, this set was definitely worth for me to get back into. Honestly, I've been super excited playing with everyone. I've honestly just been super excited to play again. I was able to pop off of locals not too long ago. I got a chance to look at what everyone's playing, and just to see where everything's heading. And so, yeah, for that we're gonna, along with the play testing, obviously I've been able to go over all the cards a little bit more in detail and pick out a few that I think are going to stand out the most. And if they're not, they have potential. Um, I realized a long time ago I don't like going through every single card because a lot of these cards are just, unplayable, or maybe, you know, diamonds in the rough more than anything, but more rough than than anything else. So I'm going to go over, starting with these. We have the new Opus 12 Bahamut. Now, I do believe this is the first time we have a summon as a forward, and for that reason alone, it definitely deserves a spot on here. So if you have 3 or more fire summons in your break zone, Bahamut gains 2,000 power, and if you have 7 or more, Bahamut also gains when Bahamut attacks, deal 5,000 to all forwards your opponent controls. So, like I said, we're playing Bahamuts and Fridas already, so being able to pull off this guy's S's with a summon is already really interesting. So if you do have that whole like Frida package or the Bahamut package, you're able to board clear by yourself with this card. So his S is 1 Bahamut, 1 fire, deal 4,000 damage to all forwards your opponent controls. So being able to deal 9k to like an entire board with 1 forward seems good. And then S and tap, choose a forward, deal at 9,000 damage. So he has 2 options for removal. Like he has a board wipe and like spot removal. And we have enough Bahamuts where this S is super easy to pull off. So realistically, we have a lot of ways to make this card better, right? We have, I think it's Librel that makes him cheaper to summon. He's fire. Fire has already proven itself to be, an up and coming control deck and a powerhouse soon. It took long enough, but fortunately for us, we got there. So the meme can be put to rest a little bit. And yeah, like I said, I do expect to see more summons as forwards going down, but being as this is the first, I think it's very good. It's pretty standard, a 3/7. It's a Jod Bahamut, I guess. It's from 10. Yeah, it's got a lot of potential. I don't know how much play we'll see considering the way the meta is going, but there is definitely something here. Magisa, Beastmaster from 5. Forward 8k for 0 CP. Search for a fire forward of cost 3 or less. Of cost 3, let me stop. And then play it onto the field. You can only use this ability if Magisa has received 4,000 damage or more and only once per turn. So a very interesting effect. A little conditional like Fire's used to, but it's very strong, right? And it's not just cost 3 and search it, cost 3 and play it. So there's a lot of, Bahamut's another target, just put it here next to it as a reference point. But there's a lot of things you can do with this. It's not, search for 1 fire forward of cost 3 and play it. So fire already, like I said, fire's already up and coming in playtime. So being able to, spawn an extra body once per turn is going to put fire on par with everything else. The being able to receive 4k damage, I know we know 4k isn't a big deal, and we have a lot of cards that do this already. Just recently we saw a deck that piloted this. It's using the bombs. You can target yourself with this. It's a 1 CP bomb. Very easy way to play this card. Obviously you don't play this unless you have that damage on hand already. Like you don't leave Magisa out waiting for her to take some damage and then do it. No, you have her ready you bring her out when you're ready, and then you start spawning things after that, causing her to be a problem. Now, of course, she's easily countered if your opponent does kill her in one shot. But if they're counting on you to finish her off before your effect resolves, you can trigger your effect to search and play another forward. So she's relatively safe in that regard. And she's definitely going to see play, I think. She's very strong. And Amaterasu is probably the best card Fire has. I didn't want to show. They have other cards too that we'll talk about, but this one just has to be in the top 3 to reveal, I think. So the first summon that choose an auto ability, cancel its effect. If it's canceled, auto ability triggered from a forward, deal that forward 8,000 damage. The auto abilities is when something comes in, do this. So there's a lot of new forwards that have enter the field abilities and stuff like that. So canceling pretty much anything is really good from hand. Just an example, like the new Regis we'll talk about in another video, is going to be, the new Regis is an absurd card, but this literally shuts that down and kills the card in one for 3 CP. So there's a lot of value to be gained from this card. And like I said, Fire is already becoming a control deck. If it hasn't already become a control style deck, this is just going to add to that, which is going to make it even more powerful. I do expect a lot of people to be running this at 3, and that it came in full art is just going to increase the value of this card too. So having foils and full arts, if you have them, maybe hold on to them early on, because once the tournaments start and the meta starts shifting, those will increase in value. Next, I wanted to bring out these other cards, which are very handy, I like to say. So going back to, we have Alisei and Alphanod, new 3-drop Scions of the 7th Dawn in Fire. Alisei says when Alisei enters the field, select one of the 2 following actions. Play a card Alphanod from your hand onto the field, or search for a card named Alphanod and add it to your hand. And Alphanod says, when Alphanod enters the field due to summon or abilities, you may search for one character and add it to your hand. So going back to Magisa and even Alisei here, just being able to play one and search one, there's a lot of value going into these cards. And again, you're just putting out bodies, and each body is netting you another card. So not only are you developing board, you're thinning out your deck, allowing you to get to the other pieces faster. And yeah, so this little combo here on its own is already very strong. I do expect this to make its way into, like I said, we've just recently seen a Fire Wind deck, but now I do expect to see into Fire Lightning and a lot of other things. Fire Earth, because Scions already live in that realm. So maybe even Lightning, Fire. Oh, I already mentioned Fire Lightning, but you know, anything with Scions is also going to be plausible for these guys. I just think being able to search anything, you may search one character and add it to your hand, is just great. We're often looking for that one piece that you know brings everything together, and this is another way. This is one way for Fire to do it, along with any other color combination you put it with. It's just going to be even faster. And Princess Goblin, I thought at first was a little weak, but seeing what it actually does is I realize it's 10 times better, so it definitely made the list. Waff for 1, which is interesting, but when Princess Goblin enters the field, you may search for a light forward and add it to your hand. When a light forward enters the field, put Princess Goblin into the break zone. So that second effect is very classic Fire, you know, no reward without repercussion, but we have very few things that search light cards within a color without having to without having to add a light backup that kind of just gets in the way. And the fact that this removes itself leaves room for things later in the game. So being able to search things like the Cloud in FF7 or the Rain in Knights Now, or anything like that, for whatever, if you want to search Minerva, sure. But and you don't have to play the light card obviously right away, so you won't lose your board as you're developing. But this is just something that like helps you get there faster, and especially in a monocolor deck, or again, if you're looking for something that's integral to your deck that's light, the new Lena is a really great choice as well. This is going to get you there fast, and it's only 2 CP, and for whatever reason, I don't think Waff will need it anytime soon, but it could, right? So it's also going to fit on theme with that deck. I really didn't think Waff would get any more support for a while, but this is refreshing, so I like this one a lot as well. We have like another, so Fire I do believe brought a lot of things to a lot of different decks, and so we have another Ninja backup, which I think Ninjas are going to really enjoy. When Ninja enters the field, choose a forward. It gains, when this forward attacks, choose a forward, deal it 5,000 damage until the end of the turn. And so Ninjas already have that like ping damage for 3 with Edge, but this is just going to give it another layer to deal more damage, clear more forwards in one turn. And now we have Soul and Aegis, which are for the Warrior of Lights. Soul says if you control a job, Warrior of Light forward other than Soul, Soul gains haste, which is good, normal. I think the other Soul had the same thing. When Soul forms a party and attacks, you may search for one job Warrior of Light of cost 2 or more and add it to your hand. That alone is already going to have infinite value. All those Warrior of Lights are gonna or cost 2 or more. So being able to control what you're getting every turn is going to be nice, assuming you're able to party attack. And then Aegis, the new Aegis, the Job Warrior of Light Forge you control can form parties with Job Warrior of Light Forge with any element. So right there is kind of like they help each other out, and that deck is already multicolored enough. So I like this a lot. And when Aegis enters the field, you may play Job Warrior of Light, cost 4 less from your hand onto the field. So 5 for 9 is good, and usually 5 for up to 9, and then he lets you net more cards. Like ideally, if you play this into Aegis, then you'll have haste. If you have another way to give him haste, Fire runs with Belias and I believe it's Sage. I can't remember if it's Sage right now, but the fire backup, 2-drop fire backup that gives it haste as well. So being able to pull this off is going to be easy as well. A lot of these, like I said, Fire has brought a lot to a lot of different decks, so I wanted to point that out. So very good cards. I do expect to see all of these in upcoming like Ninja decks and Warrior of Light decks. The Scions deck, a Waff deck, and then even something off color stuff with Magisa and Bahamut maybe. Now we'll go into the Legendaries. I put Lonnie in here because she's like a pseudo legendary in my opinion. Even though she got full art as well, I think this card is just absurd. But we'll talk about him. Tenzen at Brave, at the end of each of your turns, reveal top 5 cards of your deck. Add a Job Samurai card name, Job Samurai or card name Samurai among them to your hand, and return the others to the bottom of your deck in any order. When Tenzen leaves the field, choose one Job Samurai or card name Samurai of cost 3 less in your break zone and add it to your hand. Not bad for a 6-drop. I like the reveal 5 effect, Brave. The Samurai thing I'm not sold on yet, but it is another piece to another big deck. I think they only had searchers, like one searcher up until now, so being able to get like a filter card is going to be good. And I think we also got another Samurai. I don't think it was worth mentioning, so I didn't put it on here. But there is more Samurai support, so I think this will be useful and it will be played. I don't know if it's what's going to take. I don't think it's the card that takes Samurais to the next level, but it's definitely useful. I do think ninjas might see more play than Samurais, just out of pure fun, honestly. But yeah. That's the legendary. And Lonnie, when Lonnie enters the field, your opponent removes the top card of their deck from the game face down. You can look at it and cast it as though you owned it at any time you could normally cast it. The cost of casting is reduced by 2 and can be paid with CP of any element. So after playing a few games with Lonnie already, I've absolutely fallen in love with her. I've stolen forwards, backups, and summons already. All have somehow created an extra element to my board state. So, Crow, Lightning backup I've stolen, went from a 3 CP to a 1 CP. I was able to tap and develop board on turn 2. And then it also gave me a way to bring something back. Now, I know the color wasn't in my deck, so in that sense, it didn't help me. But having an extra backup early on was very helpful. I stolen... just to name one is Regis. I was able to make a push for game, lose a bunch of forwards, and then bring Regis out to bring back my board and kind of like close in. It also helped when my opponent tried to search Regis. They thought they put in an extra. They literally said I thought they put in an extra one, but it hadn't occurred to them that I stole the Regis from them. And so yeah, that's gonna happen a lot when your opponents can't remember like their exact counts. For the most part, we all should know every card in our deck, but sometimes you overlook. You're like, I don't understand. Maybe it's in my hand, maybe it's in the deck, or maybe I used it already. So sometimes when you're just like searching for stuff, you'll end up taking something else or taking an option away from them. And it's been very good. And then any summon you get, for the most part, is going to be helpful. If you steal an Amaterasu from another fire player, or if you steal Bahamuts and stuff like that, any removal is always going to be great, and you'll pay for it cheaper. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things, and now with everyone playing such powerhousey decks, like the opportunity to steal a BFA, or if you're fighting a mirror match too somehow, and you end up with a Lonnie, and they don't, you can steal maybe someone's Ritz Marsh or someone's anything really. Maybe you're fighting samurais and you steal their Tenzen, something they were waiting for. They won't be able to know what it is when you use this effect until you cast it. So they're always going to be wondering what it was. Being able to, and then there's like an infinite loop with her too that she created. Well, she didn't create, but she's a part of. So Lonnie is very good. Celtius will be the last card we talk about. When Celtius enters the field, remove up to 5 fire forwards and or ice forwards in your break zone from the game. Then reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Play one forward, cost equal to or less than the number of remove cards among them onto the field, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. I didn't personally like this card. I think a lot of people were excited when they saw it, but only because it came out early enough for it to sound exciting, and then as the rest of the set came out, this card kind of fell to the back because everything else did better things. And I think, unfortunately, Celsius will fall into the not so useful cards. I'd like to see this used playing with multicolored cards and like requirement effects too makes it a lot harder, because you don't want to always be one-sided to get one effect or the other. But at least this way he is able to get you something back. So maybe a one of in a deck that you required, like you can remove 4 forwards to get a Renoa back or something, and then play it onto the field. And yeah, he can probably bring you a play or two, but he's nothing, like he's not going to be worth much, I think, in terms of the game. I don't think he's going to change or break the game for you. Obviously, if you guys disagree with any of these opinions of mine, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you guys have had success with Celsius and Tenten, please share those stories as well. I'm very interested in seeing those. I haven't been able to dive into those decks yet. I was kind of working on Ice Fire for a buddy. I feel like the deck is still a little too slow. I didn't need Celsius for that. Some of the honorable mentions that I didn't put on here were the new Vayne and the new what is it, Zach or Leon, I think. They're two fire they're 2 forwards with Ice Fire like multicolor. So I think they were good, but I think I found these other cards to be a little more useful. So the Vayne and, like I said, the Leon were other good choices. But let me know what you guys are working on if you're working in these colors, the Fire and or Fire Ice now. Thank you for listening to the set review. Stay tuned for the rest of the reviews.